Hi YouTube, welcome to the Gradient Journey. In my previous video, I was wearing my Filson Mackinaw Cruiser Jacket, which happens to be my most worn jacket in the winter. So today, I'm going to go over why the Filson Mackinaw Cruiser is worth every penny, in my opinion. In order to do that, there's a couple of things that you should know. I'll talk about the history, specifications, and details, a little bit about my background and experience with the jacket, and a review talking about the positives and negatives of this jacket. Finally, at the end of the video, I'll go over some few alternatives. So this jacket has been around for 125 years, according to their website. It was officially patented in 1914 as it was designed for foresters and lumberjacks in the Pacific Northwest. Filson started out in Seattle and has expanded throughout North America since. And by the 60s, they became the premier outfitter for outdoorsmen. Over the years, the jacket has gone through many minor modifications, and forward to today, Filson remains to be a private company, and most of their garments, including their Mackinaw jackets, are known for their robustness, heritage, and longevity. Alright, so let's get into the details of this jacket. This jacket is made up of 100% Mackinaw wool. Mackinaw wool is made up of the longest and strongest hair fibers from sheep, and interestingly, the word Mackinaw is a variation of the word Mackinac, which is a strait that connects Lake Michigan to Lake Huron. And there's also a Mackinac Island. So Mackinaw or Mackinac is further derived from the native Odawa Ojibwe language, and that word is Michilimackinac, which means turtle. I thought that was pretty interesting, as I have this jacket in green. The jacket weighs in at 24 ounces per square yard, or 26 ounces per square yard if you decide to get the plaid version. Speaking of which, this jacket comes in a variety of colors. Because of the wool fibers and weight, it's wind resistant and insulates when wet, and in other words, it's a very warm jacket. The cuffs are adjustable, and it comes with so many pockets, 4 on the front and hand warmers, and a map pocket just for you to store your trusty old map. Now, admittingly, I've actually never heard of this brand nor about this jacket until I started looking into Buy It for Life pieces on Reddit and on YouTube. So after some research, I went to a Filson brick and mortar store, and I actually did pick up the jack shirt first. I was going through a CPO jack shirt phase during this time, but after a week I decided to actually exchange it back for the Mackinaw jacket, as I just thought that this had better value for the amount of money that you'll be spending. So I've owned this jacket for just over a year now, and I wanted to share my experiences with Filson and the Cruiser jacket with you, and also provide my recommendations. So first of all, the positives. This jacket is very warm. I wore this jacket in negative 12-degree weather with wind chills, and I was fine. Mind you, this jacket was designed for layering, so I did have warm layers underneath it as well. In my opinion, it's a fashionable heritage heirloom piece that can be passed on from generation to generation, and it is a brand that has been tried and true, as the company has been around for so long. In fact, there are people online attesting to their grandfather passing this very same jacket to their sons and grandsons. And believe it or not, out of all the clothing brand that I have, this is the one piece of clothing that have received the most compliments from friends, family, and even strangers due to its construction and usefulness. If you end up damaging any of your Filson garments, you can always bring it back to them and have it repaired for free, as long as it's not major damages. I did a quick experiment just to show you how resistant this piece is, water resistant this piece is. So what I did was I stood outside for 20 minutes in moderate rain to show you that it's fairly water resistant. Okay, so we're at the 10-minute mark now. I don't know if you can see that. So I would say there's really not that much of a difference between the 5-minute mark and the 10-minute mark in terms of how wet I am right now. I still feel relatively dry. I'm still pretty warm at, just for reference, today it's 6 degrees. Alright, let's give it another couple of minutes and see what happens. Maybe we could talk about this sponsor of this video. No, just kidding. No sponsors. Okay. Okay, so it's almost 20 minutes now. I'm just gonna do a quick check to see how dry I am. I wear my gray sweater underneath just so that you guys can see how soaked I am underneath. So needless to say, yeah, it's water resistant. So here are some negatives. In my opinion, the mat pocket is not necessary. I've never found a good use for it. Well, that's not necessarily true. I did once put a tripod in it and maybe some grocery bags. But for the most part, I could do without it. I get it. It's a nod to the heritage where the map used to go, and this is a heritage piece, but it's not really practical to use. Kind of reminds me of a diver watch. I'll never go diving, but it does carry some history and heritage with it, and I guess there's an argument to be made for that. It's also in kind of an odd spot where it's kind of hard to reach, but that may just be due to my flexibility. Now, due to its weight, I'll never travel with this jacket. I would rather much bring a down shell jacket that can be both rainproof and as well as warm without being too heavy. It'll also take up way too much space in my luggage. Okay, so the biggest gripe that I have with Filson is their fitting. It's way too big. Yes, they are supposed to be a relaxed fit, sure. However, even in an extra small, look how big this is. For reference, here's me layering several pieces of clothing underneath the Filson Mackinaw Cruiser. Buyer beware, just try it on first. See, even in the extra small, the chest is 42.5 inches. That's like typically a medium. Unfortunately for me, there's no such thing as an extra small, so I can't even size down. I thought I might be okay with it over time, but the more I think about it, the more annoyed that I get. So there's something else I want to quickly mention here. It has nothing to do with the jacket and more so to do with Filson's customer service. No, don't get me wrong, they're very knowledgeable and very kind, but I do get a sense that they're probably working off of commission since they seemed a little pushy on selling me the jacket. But that's just my experience. I do realize that I'm introverted and I would personally rather purchase things alone rather than having someone guide me. Also, your experience may vary as this is just the one store that was closest to me. Another reason for trying this jacket on for the first time is because if you never wore a wool garment before, you may find it too scratchy. I personally don't have any issues with it, but others that have tried this on had found it a bit uncomfortable. Of course, you'll be layering it underneath, so there's no direct contact with your skin with the exception of your wrist and maybe your neck. If you do find it uncomfortable, maybe opt out for a version that is lined, but at the time of this recording, I do not believe that there is a lined Mackinaw Cruiser jacket. Also, this jacket is pricey. However, with that being said, you can justify it with saying that you're going to be wearing it for your entire life, and it can be passed down as well, as long as you take care of it. Because of the popularity of this jacket, you can also often find deals online. Filson usually have sales, and also the stockists typically have sales from time to time as well. If you're patient and diligent enough, you may even find a Filson garment secondhand from places like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Kijiji, thrift shops. I actually was able to pick up a Filson jack shirt for about a quarter of its price, a quarter of the retail price. Okay, so I have a question for you now, YouTube. So if you had any one winter jacket that will last you for the rest of your life, which one would you purchase? Would it be this Filson Mackinaw one here, or maybe another piece from Filson, or perhaps a different piece altogether? Despite some of the negative reviews or what I described earlier, I think in terms of heritage, cost, and longevity, I think this is one of the best. Alright, so the reason why I asked this question is because I've been thinking about this a lot recently. The Filson Cruiser is an iconic, maybe even legendary piece that has been worn down for generations to come. However, there are some alternatives that I've been looking into. Introducing the Gloverall duffel coat. I know this isn't really a fair comparison as the price range is completely different, so if we're talking about something that is within the same price range that's also 100% wool, take a look at Weather Wool. Now, to be honest, I don't own any of their jackets or any of their pieces, and I have no idea what their sizing is like, but I do see online that they make an XXS, which is great, and the price tag is not really within the same price range. They're about 30 to 40% higher than the Filson Mackinaw. Johnson Wool & Mills, I again don't own this piece, but however, with that being said, if I knew about this particular brand, I might have chosen this one over the Filson. They have like my sizing, and that's a plus, and it's a little bit more cost effective. They also have a deep history going back down to the 1800s, and perhaps I'll do a review of them someday. They're not as well known as Filsons. Unless you live in Vermont, you need to purchase online. I should probably go to Vermont one of these days. They have my favorite socks there. They also make Pendleton, the Iron Steel Mammoth jacket.